push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Hour on YSN, presented by our friends over at Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley with you. Richie on assignment, I guess. Maybe he'll pop up a little later in the show. I know we've got a big schedule for tomorrow on YSN. One of them featuring 2 games during the day, like the morning, afternoon, with Badger, and then we have at the debut of Archbishop Hoban out of Akron tomorrow night on the network. So I know he's doing a lot of prep for that as we'll tag team that game together. But today we have a lot to talk about, and a lot of it is going to centralize around sports betting, and it's going to centralize around the morality, all of that stuff that regards it. This is not, I'm going to preface this conversation, it is not going to be, should sports betting be legalized on, networks such as the one you're watching right now. We're not even going to get into that. It's going to be more along the lines of Ohio gets sports betting, and through the first 23 days, how's it going? As a guy that likes putting some shekels down on some sports games, I'm going to tell you kind of my thoughts on it, and I'd love to get your thoughts just from a purely sports betting side of things, outside of the high school aspect and the amateur aspect. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the power rankings more, a little bit closer to the boat. As a matter of fact, right on the other side of the birthday stuff, we're going to talk about the brand new, hot off the presses, power rankings, top 25 on YSN, and then we'll kind of cut the sports betting side on the other side of the break, and then we'll talk about that stuff. But as we do each and every day in 2023, it's time to wish happy birthday to somebody you may or may not know. Here we go. And welcome back, and happy birthday to the one, the only, one of my favorite people in the world, the Godfather, Tony Foster. The first localized birthday we've been able to capitalize on. The former head ball coach in East Palestine on the football field now is part of that state championship coaching staff that Dan Yeagley put together. Happy birthday, Tony Foster, the 23rd of January here in 2023. It's not quite 50, but we're getting there, buddy. We're getting there. We're creeping close to that 5-0. Don't you worry. She'll be here soon. Love you. Appreciate you so much for everything you do, not only for us, for me, my family, but also everybody who has had the opportunity and pleasure of to be able to coached by you, my friend. Have a happy birthday here today, Coach Foster. All right, let's get down to some nitty gritty here. We have the power rankings. I think I loaded them up. Should be here somewhere. There they are. Boys and girls released today just after 1:00. And we've got some new faces, new places to talk about. So let's get right to them. Here are your girls basketball rankings for the week of the 23rd of January. Canfield still on that top spot. You got Salem still in that top 4, that power ranking poll, the top 4, Salem pulling up number 2, Poland coming in at number 3. Look at Boardman rising up. I think they were 6 last week, if I'm not mistaken. Now they're up to 4. Then you got Garrettsville Garfield at 5. 6 is going to bring us Springfield. Archbishop Hoban debuts at number 7, their first opportunity through. Louisville is number 8. Then you've got Crestview and Brookfield, Edgewood in at 11, Girard at 12, Struthers in at 13, Western Reserve at 14, followed by Ursuline at 15, Howland at 16, United, Austintown Fitch, and these yellow ones are driving me nuts. It's Southern come in at 17, 18, and 19. Badger in at 20, Waterloo 21, 22 is Pymatuning Valley, South Range at 23, followed by East and Liberty. Those are your top 25. What do I like about this? What do I really, really like about what we're seeing here? Again, the science of it, it's less about who's favorites. There's less nepotism, as I would refer to, because you feel like you're related to some of these schools. And really what we were getting for quite some time was, that's my straw. I was trying to figure out what that was on the Athletics A. I apologize. What we were getting were like the favoritism, the nepotism of these schools. Like, so one announcer that announces for, let's say, school A was voting them in, even if they had like a 1-win record, they were in the top 10. And to me, that just wasn't no good. It was no bueno. Showed a little bit of a lack of credibility for us. So when in talking to Quinn and talking to some of the executives here at YSN, we decided to change it up, put more science into it. You've heard this story before, but this is, I mean, you're starting to see a little bit more fluctuation. It's a little bit more liquid on this list, because you're looking at the records, the opponent's records, and the opponent's records, and teams that they play, the schedules, and then the strength of schedule factors in as well. So when you're looking at this, as we pull it up once again, you're going to see the teams that aren't afraid to measure up against teams that are pretty good. Teams that like to play basketball, teams that are pretty good at playing basketball. The quote unquote cupcakes are probably going to burn in the stove a little bit, because you're not going to, I mean, the strength of schedule matters. Your record matters. We talked about it with Richie. Some of the trouble that I've seen over the last few years is in these sports that you can basically walk into the postseason. Your record doesn't matter. Your record doesn't matter. But if you do that in football, you're not going to make the playoffs. And I think that the power rankings brings a little bit more of who are you and how good are you, right? There's a little bit of reality to it. And you're not going to see many teams that have losing records in the top 25. Not anymore. Not the way that we're trying to do it and according to RPI. So love seeing the girls. And really, you see teams like Boardman and Louisville, the fluctuation of that. I believe they were probably, I know Louisville was in the top, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking about the boys, but I thought they were in the top 4, and Boardman was on the outside looking in, I think at 5 or 6. I believe it was 6. And now you got Boardman, who played Canfield. They lost to Canfield, but the rankings still show that they competed, and their strength of schedule is being reflected obviously favorably from that standpoint, because they were able to lift up 2 spots. So kudos to Coach Hamilton and the whole staff over at Boardman and the girls for being able to really step up and play some big time games and get some wins. And ones they can't win, they're certainly doing their best and naturally showing up. They're proving that they're meant to be not only in the top 10, but right now in the top 5. I don't see any ones that I would necessarily change out. And I guess for me, it's a little bit easier to say that because of the science of it, the data that backs it up. I don't like that, some other top 10 rankings, especially here locally, there's a lot of, I don't even want to say favoritism. There's no kind of thinking behind it. They just throw it on there and they say, hey, this is who it is. There's a lack of credibility. And I think that's what was bothering me about ours for so long is why are we voting a certain way? It's not based on wins and losses. We even, like, Sigler created the standings page, made things easier to look and say, okay, these are the teams that at least should be in. But even further than that, the data was not there to back it up. Yeah, you're winning, but who are you beating? So if you have 8 cupcakes and you're 9-0, you got one, signature win, as they say, and 8 wins over teams that are way less, and they're more inferior than you are, right? Whether that's, I don't know if that's proper English even, but they're not as good as you are. Let's put it that way. And you're beating them. You're going to beat them 100 out of 100 times. Why should you be in the top 10 if these teams are significantly lower than you and playing that way, but you're 9-0? Does that make sense? And while records should go into it, I'm a big strength of schedule guy. From the standpoint of, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo! Ric Flair, right? You got to be able to schedule these teams, and not only schedule them, but win them or play close. If you're the Buffalo Bills and you go in and you get blown out by 3 scores or 20 points, probably shouldn't be in that. But if you're playing up constantly, and basketball is a little bit different, and we talked to Quinn about this. Basketball, you have to, it's a little bit tougher and more challenging to be on your game every single night. You're going to have nights that you're just like, who is this team and where did they come from? So I'm really interested to see how kind of this shapes up along the way. Bob Nutting. Don't worry, DJ, as long as I can get you out to some Pirates games this year, you will be fine. Listen, I'll be out a Pirate game or 2 this year. That is a guarantee, because you brought back the old double deuce. You brought back Andrew McCutchen, a guy that meant so much to the Pirates in years prior and means so much. There's a lot of people that are going to say BS. Andrew McCutchen, this move to me is more than just a baseline move to sell tickets. They want Andrew McCutchen, even on a 1-year deal worth $5 million. I think this was a gesture to get Andrew locked up for the next 2 or 3 years and be part of the rebuilding process in Pittsburgh. And I think that it's a very, very works out for the tickets too. Don't get me wrong, because that's one of the main reasons I'm buying tickets this year. But to have our guy, our franchise player, back to be a leader, not complain about who's playing in center field and who's not, to have him back, and the joy, if you watch any of his vignettes, the joy of him being back in Pittsburgh, calling it his home. He named his son Steele, I'm pretty sure. It's at least a nice gesture in the right direction of, let's go win. Didn't cost the Pirates a ton. Andrew McCutchen's still making money, and he's still able to be part of this Pirates team, the fabric of I think, who he was. He never really caught on anywhere else. He always beat up on the Pirates. He never really caught on to be that primetime, even franchise-esque player with the Brewers, the Phillies, or the Giants, Yankees. But now, guaranteed, opening day, he'll be in left field as long as the Pirates don't make a huge trade for Brian Reynolds to get rid of him. He'll be in left field. He'll come out to a huge ovation in Pittsburgh. And that place most likely will be sold out, because there's just enough excitement. And I think everybody the world saw that Pittsburgh can easily be a baseball town if you give them something to cheer about. And with the wild cards that they were in, namely the one in Cincinnati, I guess the one here, but against Cincinnati, the blackout, oh my goodness. This place would go nuts. They'd go ballistic for this Pirates team. There's a lot to be excited about with that Pirate team. So Bob Nutting, thank you very much. I appreciate you not only commenting on the show, but of course, being a supporter and finally getting some support for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now go get some pitchers, maybe a Trevor Bauer, make a splash, and then who knows what could happen? Who knows? Let's get back to our topics here, not to get too far off kilter. Let's get to the boys' top 25. Let's take a look at them. Ursuline still at number 1 for good reason. Canfield, number 2. Archbishop Hoban comes in at number 3. Number 4, Louisville. East Liverpool slips to the number 5 spot. Louisville at number 6. Girard at number 7. Then you've got Fitch, Pie Valley, and JFK at 8, 9, and 10. Cheney, Jefferson, Newton Falls on that next line at 11, 12, and 13. Cardamone at 14. Number 15 is West Branches. They're starting to catch fire. Salem at 16, especially with that win over South Range, which was so impressive. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Then you look at Badger, Valley Christian, and Struthers at your 17, 18, and 19. 20 is East, 21 LeBray, 22 is Niles, and then your bottom 3, South Range, Beaver Local, and Waterloo. So you take a look at what the boys have to offer. And I got to say, I have to say this because I was like in on basketball this year, right? It's been probably one of the harder transitions we've had from football to basketball since YSN has been around because there was 4 months of high school football games, right? To make that transition to basketball, you've got to do your research, especially with over 60 teams or whatnot. You've got to be able to play catch up quick. And with all the celebrations and everything that was going on from a logistics standpoint at YSN with kind of closing the book on football, basketball was happening while we were still writing the script on the ending for football. This past week, I got to say, I have doubled down on hoop season. And obviously I know, look, right? Tick, 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 tick. I'm a little bit late. That's why I got nothing but love for my team, right? The guys and girls that are out there doing this on an everyday basis because they've been bought in since game 1, day 1, down since day 1 of basketball season. Old man Yoakley is now just catching up, and I'm seeing how exciting these teams are this year. You look at all the buzzer beaters, all the last possession game winners that we've seen over just the last week. And I was very, very lucky to have the opportunity to do the South Range Salem game the other night on Saturday. And South Range had a 12-point lead in the second half. Salem was never out of it. Like you felt they were out of it in the first half. And something that Coach Andre said at halftime or something that was done, I don't know. You know, it's the magic of the locker room. They come out, they chip away, and all of a sudden they got the lead, and we're headed in overtime at 51-51. And I thought it was really cool to see a team that could have just, rolled over, played dead in a non-conference game, even though it was at home, to fight back and eventually win that game. South Range has been battling their own demons this season. I think everybody knows what we're alluding to. But they go from an 0-5 stretch to start the season to the midst of a 6-game winning streak to get things back. Now they're back at even. And the season is, it's almost like the second season starts now for South Range. It is what they make it. TJ Irons has done a phenomenal job of bringing that team back. And when you look at the adversity that he's faced in his own life, personally, professionally, all that, this was probably just old hat to him. Stepping up in a situation of adversity in real world problems, right? He steps in and all of a sudden this team goes 6-0. And I believe they went 7 of 8 and now 7 of 9. That's impressive. That's not impressive. That is more than impressive. That is, yes, he's your volleyball coach. That's a conversation that needs to be had internally and go, number one, what is this guy doing to turn our kids around? They believe in him. And TJ's not one that's going to sit there and bang his chest and say, look what I did. This is exactly, no. That's not who he is. That is one of the greatest families you will ever find. The Irons' tightest family. What I can tell you is everybody knows what he went through. He's the kind of guy that you want to win for. He's a guy that they put all this on his plate with everything going on. TJ Irons gets along with literally every person he meets. One of the nicest, most decent, honest people you'll ever encounter in your life. He gets all this thrown on his plate and he goes, all right, let's just go out and win. Let's go out. Let's make the best of a bad situation. Let's try to improve every day at practice and so on and so forth. When I look down at the court at John A. Cabas Gymnasium on Saturday night, I was so excited to see two guys, TJ Irons and Coach Andres, the guys that care about their community more than most, guys that care about their kids more than most. And people are probably going to give me flack for this. Ross Davidson gets a technical on questionable at best, technical, especially after going and asking what was said and done. Jeff Andres gets a technical right after because he's going to back his guys. Basically, in layman's terms, he asked him, why weren't you going to call something? That's what Ross said. Call something. Call a foul. He gets teed up. So Coach Andres over there asks why he got teed up, what he did to deserve it. And the referee, and again, this is layman's terms. This is my words. I'm not sure if this is exactly how it went down, but this is the story that I received from third-hand information. They said, this is what Ross said. And basically, Coach goes, well, then call it. Call something. He gets teed up. This is to the regular basketball viewer, to the regular sports fan, you're going to look at that and say, oh, this guy's got to keep his mouth shut. These guys are got to. Listen, we live in this highly sensitive bubble right now that officials feel like they're being slighted. They have leverage because there's an official shortage, whether you know it or not. There's not exactly a line at the door of people trying to put on those stripes. And we've talked about it on this show. Even there's a coaching shortage that will happen sooner rather than later. And the coaches need to make sure that they're sticking up for their guys, especially when it comes down to being, I'm not going to use the term that I wanted to use, when they're being pushed around a little bit, and you're not going to do this on my watch. If they're being sheriffed, if that's a word or not, I don't know, where they're being sheriffed by these officials. And I'm not pointing the blame at the officials. They're within their rights to call technicals, to call fouls, penalties as they wish, because guess what? They signed up for it. But I would also like to bring to the attention of officials that you are now being watched closely, more closely than ever. As in, the majority of our games are streamed. The vast majority of our games are streamed. So there's not just people that are in the stands that are watching some of these calls that may or may not be right or wrong. But there's also people that are watching that you have no idea who's watching. Could be the OHSAA. It could be Grandma Betty. Grandpa Vern. It could be a lot of people, but it could be some important people too. And what I would like to recommend is that these officials go back and watch their own clips, whether it be on YSN or Huddle or whatever it may be, because maybe things didn't transpire the way you thought they did. I mean, I think we all wish that we had kind of the red light on all the time, and we can go back and maybe throw the red flag on ourselves. These officials have the opportunity to do that. Some of them will. Some of them have actively told me that they love watching these games because they can see whether they missed something or made a bad call. They can police themselves. Some of these officials will never do that because they're never wrong. And I feel bad for them because those are the same officials or same people that they go home and they are not in charge of anything. So they feel like they have to utilize that authority in a game form against young people and coaches. And we all understand the politicking that goes along with some of this stuff. Like if you know an official for a long time, you can get away with some stuff. What I saw on Saturday night, if it's Redbird true, right? If it's Cardinal true, I don't think that they should have occurred, at least that quickly, right? Somebody MFs you or drops curse words or talks about your mother, talks about you personally. That's one thing. I've seen officials try and coach on the court, on the field, on the diamond. I've seen it. You give up your opportunity to coach, per se, when you grab that whistle. And the same thing with coaches and players. You give up your opportunity to officiate when you grab that jersey or you grab the head of that bench. We've talked about it before. Stay in your own lane. Stay in your lane. And you're going to sit here and go, DJ, yeah, but it's my job to share my opinion with these things. And I'm not sitting here saying that every official during that game on Saturday did a terrible job. But you could see that there were moments and you're just like, oh my goodness, let's grab a grip. Let's grab a grip on this. Bob Nutting, I'm checking in I'd rather sign another 40-year-old. Tony Foster, available, 47. He can play right field for the Pirates. I love it. No, but to get back to the regular point, I think we all need to realize that how good basketball is around here, and it's improving always. You look at the boys' rankings. Hoban making their debut, obviously, as we signed him last week, shaking up the rankings a little bit. This is what it's going to be like. I mean, if teams start coming in, and most certainly I expect that, teams locally are going to have to raise their game up. They're going to have to raise up their game and understand that the cream will rise to the top. If we make the point and always saying that, when you're part of the YSN, it's part of trying to better your community, better your brand, being more competitive. Because as you'll notice, there's no non-YSN teams in the YSN Power Rankings. And we received many calls this week from one school in particular that was borderline telling us that you need to put us in the power rankings or it's not credible. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know it's our power rankings. So we're going to put our schools in there and the best of our schools will shine, the top 25 in this case. If you want to be part of it, it doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you probably get a little bit of a cutback, right? Whether a revenue side or just, a stipend. That's part of what we do. But we're more concerned about 2 or 3 seats in the bleachers of people that might stay home, no proof, if it's raining or snowing. I mean, okay. I understand. It's a business, right? From that standpoint. But at the same time, we have to run our business as well. And if we're not good enough for you, it takes 2 to tango. Takes two to tango, and we want nothing more for you to be part of what we're doing, building this blanket one square at a time, one brick at a time, brick by brick, as we say. But we're not going to sit there and, we want to stream your games. We want to have your kids be part of our all-star games. We want you to be part of the Big Dogs experience. We want you to be part of the Power Rankings experience. We want your kids to be interviewed. We want your coaches to be interviewed. All of this, it all boils down to, we're not trying to take money out of your wallet. We're trying to help you get people excited about your brand, your school, your kids, your communities, all that, bring them together. And if that's not what you want, then sorry, this is not this maybe not for you. This maybe not, make up your own power rankings. See how far that goes. Let's be real. If you're making your own power rankings and you vote yourself anywhere but one, then your community is going to be mad at you. But if you don't, then you don't have any credibility. So the shoe's on the other foot from that perspective. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk sports betting. We're going to talk about it because a lot of you out there have questions. I'm new to it. I'm excited about it. I've been on a heater and I've been on an absolute desert because I've hit rock bottom with some of these picks because other people are saying, oh, you need to try college basketball. You need to try, these parlays. You need to try this and that and the other thing. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to answer as many of the quote unquote dumb questions as we can and talk about why I hesitate to use the word dangerous, why it's tricky sometimes. Very, very tricky from a guy that is just learning how to do it from a digital standpoint 23 days ago. Let's talk about it when we come back on the Ysn Power Hour, powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Yoakley here with the Ysn Power Hour, powered by Toyota of Warren. Make sure you go check out my good buddy Tino and all of his friends up at the Toyota of Warren dealership right now. We are looking greatly forward to the YSN Toyota Tundra that will be debuting here in the next month or so here on the network. Great dealing with them. They've got a lot of great deals going on right now. Make sure if you're looking to get into a new vehicle from that standpoint, you go and support our friends over at Toyota of Warren. All right, sports betting. This is the 800-pound gorilla in the room when it comes to this stuff. And what I will tell you and preface everything, as I did at the beginning of the show, is we will not be, there's different avenues. And there's been a lot of trouble, especially in Ohio as of late, with some of these advertising deals with sports betting and gambling being pushed out towards people that were under the age of 21. Naturally, with what we do, we have a lot of amateur athletics, including high school, and we will not be running advertisements during those games. And there's a lot of financial reason to do so, to incorporate it, but the moral compass of it all tells us that we've built this, and I say we when I mean it, we have built this brand on making the right decision as many times as we can. And oftentimes when you're presented with the easy way or the right way, so many people take the easy way, because the right way, you just never know. Will that opportunity ever come back? We're putting a lot of faith in the ability that the financial opportunity will come back at some point in some other form or fashion, because I'm sure you know, if you watch sports, if you watch anything right now, you understand that sports betting is everywhere. It is every other commercial. It is, I mean, it is they're trying to hit you hard because they print money. That's what they do. I love it. I'm on board, and I'm not a 1-800-GAMBLER type person, but I enjoy sports betting the way people enjoy playing the lottery, right? You feel like you got you feel like you got a horse in the race. You feel like you're able to do it. I feel like I know sports a lot, and I will be 100% honest with you. I'm one of those people that creates a budget, and it's a per month budget. And if I ever get close to that, or I'm cutting myself off. I have that willpower as I have it right now, right? Hope to never be in that situation, but like I get nervous when I lose 2 bets in a row, right? That's just how it is. What I will tell you is there's a lot of people that are able to feel good about their sports betting, but they're not really betting. They're not actually even pushing the number on their phone. Like, what's your bet slip? And for those of you who don't know what a bet slip is, that's like your receipt for the bet that you place. There's a lot of people out there that will say, I'm going to take the Niners and the Bengals this week. And it's just, that's who they're just saying they're not actually betting. And that's kind of my new prove it, show me, right? Show me your bet slip. If you're willing to tell somebody, give somebody else advice, and we've talked about this for years on this show, not even on this show, on the network. If you're willing to give somebody else financial advice on who to place wagers on, you better have your ducks in a row, because a lot of times, as I'm finding out, these people that are giving you advice aren't betting. Because there's one thing that actually happens. When you bet, when you place that bet, it starts to move a little bit. So they're actually hoping you place that bet, because maybe they're on the other side waiting to do the exact opposite. And I know that's a conspiracy theory, but I'm probably not wrong. And it probably makes a little bit of sense to you now that you're hearing it and you're walking through it with me. For instance, we got people that go on heaters. I said, I've been on a heater. Yeah, I was red hot, but just as hot and red as I got, I went blue and ice cold. Somebody says, because listen, when you are in sports betting, you think you know it all. You got the spreads. You can go do all the details and look up all these different things that you want. It's still the element of sports. Anything can happen. I'm still learning a ton about betting right now. A ton. And this is going to sound stupid, I just learned what the money line was 2 weeks ago. Had no idea what it was terrified to death to bet it because it was just usually minus 120, minus 300, stuff like that. So here I am, embarrassed to even think about it, to even Google it. Heaven forbid somebody look up, my browser history and I have, what is a money line, right? DJ doesn't know anything about sports. He doesn't know anything. Like, okay. But then when it's explained to me, it's just you're betting on the team that you think is going to win. And instead of, -3 or -3.5 with a hook, which is at 0.5, by the way, for those of you wondering, it's a scenario where you can pick the team to win. And if you put $10 on them and they're minus whatever, you're getting a fraction of that back. And what I mean by fraction of that back, you get your $10 if you place that $10 plus $5.40, depending on the plus or minus on the money line. And I know I'm probably confusing people right now, but stay with me. I've been seeing these TikToks, these different reels that people are kind of in a situation where they got in too fast, too hard. They went on some of these ridiculous bets, like, will the Browns score 1 point in the football game today? And you can bet up to $50 or up to $100. It's free money. But what they're hoping is you feel good about that. You put that $100 somewhere else and you lose. Oh, I got to get that $100 back. And you put your $100 in now and you lose that. And then they just profited $100 after giving you $100. Long time ago, I was told casinos weren't built to lose money, right? You look at all these different casinos and you go, whoa, this is pretty extravagant. As someone who's going to Vegas in 2 weeks, I could not be more excited because I can't wait to see these casinos that were built off of the people that were gambling in them that thought they had a chance to win. People will I still play the lottery once every blue moon, right? But people will tell me that sports bettors have problems, have issues, but yet they go and bet the lottery and get a pack of smokes and a 6-pack of beer. Anything can kill you, right? Anything can, like sports betting and now legalized sports betting, I think you kind of have a parachute from that perspective. And I'm not telling kids to go out and obviously gamble because they can't because they're not 21. And I'm speaking to the parents, the adults out there. This is another situation where you just got to be careful. You have to understand what you're getting yourself into. I feel like sports betting, from my perspective, is never a sure bet, but I feel like I'm in control of it a little bit more, and it's for fun. It's entertainment value only. I'm never going to mortgage my house. I'm never going to do any of that stuff. I'm not. It's not worth it to me. If I ever get down that road, I got a lot more problems than sports betting. Like I need to go see some people if that's the issue. But there's some people out there that will need help. And there's some people out there that are only going to say sports betting is like the lady from The Waterboy. Sports devil or sports gambling is the devil, Bobby. No, it's just another avenue of revenue that casinos can make. And we were losing we're losing revenue hand over fist to every bordering state, I believe, around us. So you look around and you go, well, wait a minute. How much are we losing? And how much can we stand to profit if we get these people and we clear? Again, I'm not against it. Not in the least. But I'm also a capitalist type person that says, hey, if you can make money, go make it, as long as it's legal and it's clean. To me, legalizing sports betting is legal and clean. And if somebody gets in trouble because of it, or, then gamble responsibly. I think if we go down this rabbit hole of what's right and what's wrong and what can create things, then we're going to get rid of alcohol. We're going to get rid of, sports betting. We're going to get rid of slot machines. We're going to get rid of, nicotine, anything that you can get quote unquote addicted to or you're attracted to, we're going to get rid of. But where does it stop? Where does it stop? And that's the question. And a lot of people, I put out the question over Christmas break. Hey, what are your thoughts on advertising the morality clause of sports betting sites being on a high school network? And it was met with a lot of people that were frustrated, and they said, don't sell your soul in order to make a couple bucks. And that resonated right here. I'm looking for, from my point of view, I'm looking for what is the morality of it? Are people going to sit there and go, if it appeared? Because I promise you, at some point in our lifetime, sports betting will appear on some high school network, some activity, right? And I'll say the same thing that I told everybody along the way is chocolate milk is only going to pay so many bills. And if you know, you know. It's only going to take one swipe of the pen to cancel out any of those chocolate milk bills that one organization is writing right now. And once, because here's my concern is sports betting is not meant to be viewed by anybody under 21 or partaken in by anybody under 21. That's the law. But my question was, when we were talking about it, and it was a conversation, who's watching YSN? Who's watching these amateur sports streaming services? Is it the kids? Is it the young adults? Anybody up to 20 years old? Or is it the adults that are 21 plus? And data tells me that the vast majority of people that watch streaming services like YSN are 20 plus, 21 plus. Now, kids, young adults, apologies, are watching, but they're watching after. They're watching for their highlights. They're watching to see what the announcer said about them. Oh, on and on and on and on and on. So where's the line? I've been to different states. I've seen advertising for adult beverages. I've seen advertising for tobacco on sports streams. Ohio and the OHSA has very I shouldn't say cut and dried. They're kind of gray, but they're more like the darker shade of gray, right? They're not they're not the silver bullet gray, so to speak, right? It's a little bit more towards graphite gray. And there's room for interpretation there, which is what makes it really interesting to me. So when you're talking about some of these things, such as sports betting and advertising with alcohol and adult beverages and things that you have to be 18 plus, it makes me scratch my head a little bit, because they don't have any problem with, during the regular season, advertising for political candidates. Now, you're not allowed to do it during the postseason, but you can do it during the regular season. They don't have any problem with advertising for school board candidates. Kids can't vote for that. They don't have any problem advertising for levies. things that you can vote on that you have to be 18 years or older. There's no issue with that. But the line is drawn when it comes to advertising, tobacco, firearms. I mean, all these things I can understand. I sit there and I go, sure, that makes a lot of sense. But I think they need to take a much more kind of arrowed approach to who the demographic is that are actually watching this. And I'm not saying this from financial, because I told you earlier in the show, cut and dried. This is where we're at. Now, as we incorporate more adult activity on YSN, so intramurals and things of that nature, you might see some of these take place. But that's the only place you're going to see them. You're not going to see, we're not going to be running advertisements for Coors Light or Budweiser on YSN during high school games. We're not going to do that, because there's different moralities and clauses and things of that along the way that we've promised our high schools and some of these youth sports organizations. It's not the time or place. So to kind of put a bow on all of this, those of you that were worried, have no worries. You're not going to be, you're not going to see it on your regularly scheduled programming that you see right now. You're not going to see the sports betting side of things on your sports network as it regards to 18 and under. Will you see it later with adult stuff? You might, but we've got to make sure we find a fit for that and it's appropriate and all that's it's a dance. It is a dance. I appreciate all the input that was given to us, especially the one gentleman who said, hey, you have to do what's best for your business. People don't realize the bills that you have to pay. They're only into it for their own interest. I greatly appreciate that because that doesn't always happen. As a business owner, as someone who is constantly in the trenches, not everybody, I don't want to say sympathizes with you, but sees things from your lens. And I greatly appreciate the few that reached out and said, listen, I get it. I understand it. Make money while you can, because it's not always guaranteed. But I certainly appreciate the other side too, that said, don't sell your soul for, short-term profit. And we've decided to go in that direction. And we've decided to say, you know what? I'm willing to put my morality, my faith, everything on the business that got us here with those 8 million eyeballs, right? Or I guess that's if they have one eye. If they have two eyes, it's 16 million eyeballs. But I'm willing to put my faith in that and the growth that we've had here over the course of the last 6 years on YSN, as opposed to trying to make a quick buck and cash in, some significant checks by our friends. Again, something I believe in. I believe in sports betting. I'm also a Christian. I don't know. Like everything you do, I guess, is a sin from some standpoint. But it's one of those things. Like I enjoy it. It's to me, it makes games a little bit, I don't want to say more fun, but gives me a vested interest, right? And just a lot of times it sucks. Like it's the same time where you're like, okay, I thought I knew this, but this is not the team that I thought I knew, and this is not going the way I thought. Like imagine having that parlay, which is an assembly of bets, and you got to win all of them to get that long shot to win a decent amount, like a good amount of money, right? And you hit 10 out of 11 parlay of your parlay, and that last one you don't get, and it's like being on that pinball machine and you were that close, or playing Super Mario and you missed the jump by that much and you fell into the hot lava. So looking forward to it, in all of its glory and all of its absolute just disgust. It's just another avenue of why I think sports is great, is everybody feels so good about them or so bad about them. So now you can put your money where your mouth is. That's my be all and end all. start the conversation there. I'll cap the conversation there with this. Never, and I mean never, listen to advice from somebody giving you gambling advice without asking them where their bet slip is. If they're not willing to put money on it, neither should you. You shouldn't be taking their advice. It's time for the Joe Dickey Electric. What is your spark? Presented by our friends at Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything that zaps you, we need to talk to Joe Dickey Electric. Get a hold of them at DickeyElectric.com. You're Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Again, presented by Joe Dickey Electric, campus in North Lima, DickeyElectric.com. Since you stuck around for the end of the show, I guess I can tell you this. Breaking news for all that care, for all that want to know. We had a great meeting this morning with our friends over at iSynergy, and moving forward, we will have launch dates for a brand new website for YSN, something faster, cleaner, just pretty as a picture that serves our clients better from an advertising perspective. It's going to make you really, really love being on our website. I'm really excited for it. Steve Cross and Nick Miller and the whole team over at iSynergy, they've put a lot of thought into what we're going to be building, and they're going to put a lot of effort into it. And we're going to put a lot of our resources back into it. I'm a firm believer in putting our money back into the company, so that way we can serve and service more schools, more communities, more student athletes, more coaches. That's our goal. And iSynergy is going to help us do that. On that same point, the app is going to get a refresh. So if you don't have the YSN app, go download it now. It's absolutely free. It's going to get a refresh. YSN app 2.0 is what we're going to kind of refer to it as. And then on top of that, I've been getting a lot of questions about something that we announced a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago. Is last April, called YSN Prospect. And YSN Prospect will have a soft launch this summer. Projected, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Projected soft launch this summer, and should be able to help out seniors starting in the fall or late summer of 2023. YSN Prospect, a recruitment advocacy service that is going to help anybody from 7th grade that are part of the YSN family, mind you, going back to one of the earlier conversations we had. You'll be able to take advantage of this, parents, for a minimal fee per year, have your own landing page, upload videos through YSN Prospect, take part in our YSN Prospect camps. So those of you that have been waiting for it just a little bit longer, we're going to run tests. We're going to make sure it's worth it. And we're going to execute on it. Coaches will be able to have their own memberships. Recruiters will be able to have their own memberships, and they'll be able to look up your son or daughter, or you, depending on who's watching right now, throughout the year and keep track of all your progress. So looking forward to that. iSynergy always kicks ass. We're so excited to be teamed up with them and could not be happier. So, YSN Prospect, let's go, Sam. That's exactly right. Congratulations to Sam, by the way. 440 Sports Talk. Cannot wait to see the debut of all that. And Sam's doing a wonderful job and will continue to do a wonderful job out in Beulah, Ashtabula County. So, Sam, appreciate you so much. We will see all of you tomorrow. Wait a minute. No, we won't. We'll see you on Wednesday with Scotty Mincher and the whole crew. Tomorrow, we will have games for you throughout the day. Badger girls, Badger boys. I think tip-off is at 10 a.m. I'll have to double-check on that. You can check on it, ysnlive.com/live. We'll have individual links to it. And, of course, you can check the standings page at ysnlive.com/standings and all the scores throughout the day, the night, the year, your life, ysnlive.com/score. That's going to do it for our show today. We will see you on Wednesday, or we will see you down the dial on whatever atmosphere for basketball you want to create. On behalf of the absent Richie Giuliano, I'm DJ Yokley. We'll see you on Wednesday on your sports network. Thanks a lot. YSN thanks you for watching this